Hey everybody, it is Saturday afternoon and I'm getting ready to do a little bit of work on my native tank here, so I thought I would shoot some video about it. I'm probably going to go over a variety of random things that I've got on my mind about this tank, but what I really want to start by talking about is the lighting on this tank. I recently had one of my light fixtures burn out, and there was two on the top. One was in the rear and one was in the forward area. And I used to use the one in the forward area simply as supplemental lighting when I was shooting video, or I wanted to really light up the fish in the front and show off their colors or something like that. So now that the rear fixture has burned out, I've taken my forward fixture and moved it back, and that's what the tank looks like right now. So I went out and I replaced the fixture that burned out, or at least I've purchased a new one. I have not replaced it yet. It's still sitting on the floor, and that's what I wanted to show you. The fixture I bought before was a simple shop light. The brand is Lights of America, and you can get them, I get them at the Wally World, and I said they were about $12, and I've got to make a correction there. I was wrong when I said $12. It was actually $10.97, so just shy of 11 bucks. And I got myself a brand new shop light. So there's the one on the floor in the back that burned out, and then this is the brand new one. Does not come with tubes, but I'm going to use the tubes that were in the one back there that burned out. It was not the lights that burned out themselves or the tubes. It was the ballast or whatever's not working. It just stopped working one day. So that's it. That's as simple as I get. This little Lights of America $12 or $11 shop light. It doesn't have a switch or anything. You just plug it in, but that's okay. I've got the tank on a switch, and all the lights are on the same switch, so when I flip one switch, all of the lights come on, because I also have 3 LEDs down at this end. So the fact that this shop lamp doesn't have a switch on it doesn't bother me at all. So I guess what we'll do now is just a little before and after. I'll show you what the tank looks like being lit. This is the only end we really need to worry about. That sparkly light from the other end is coming from the LEDs. So that's what we look like with my high output T8 fixture. I've got a twin tube T8 fixture from CoreLife on the back, and one of the things I like about the fixture we're going to install is that the tubes are actually spread here. Let's have one more look at it real quickly. The tubes are spread fairly far apart. See how wide the reflector is and how far apart the tubes sit? Most fluorescent fixtures have the tubes almost touching each other, and the fixture I have on here now in the back is this very narrow CoreLife fixture that has 2 T8s in it, and you can see it doesn't even cover, you know, a lot of the tank. So the fixture we're going to put on here actually goes from the hinge right to the back here, and this whole entire back section has light across it. And then I take that narrow fixture and I just put that across the front of the tank, as I said, as supplemental lighting. Here, I'm going to try to get this straightened out so we can get a proper before and after. I got the drop cloth all discombobulated. If you're wondering why I keep cloths over top of my tanks, it's simply because I don't like all the light and the glare, and I shoot a lot of video and that sort of stuff. And I just think it looks a lot nicer seeing something like that when you look at a tank, rather than all that glass and glare and light coming up off of it. So at any rate, that was a look at what's sitting on there now. I've got that twin T5 unit with the high output lights, and that is roughly 110 watts of T5. We are about to put on 64 watts of T8. These don't take high output or anything. It's just a standard shop light. It's the same light I have hanging over my washing machine in the other room. It takes 2 32 watt T8 tubes. So there's your before. That's the look at the high output T5s. And that's the look of the T8s. So it turns out the shop lamp wasn't quite as wide as I thought it was. It doesn't quite cover as much of the back as I explained. It doesn't go from the hinge all the way to the back, but it's pretty close. And it's much, much wider and actually provides more light than those high output T5s. So when you get into aquarium lighting, or you get into any kind of lighting, it starts getting really confusing. You've got all these different things like color temperature, lux, lumens, candles, and it gets pretty complicated. For the purposes of just lighting an aquarium, you don't need to stress out too much about it. If you've got a planted tank, I would recommend just regular old 6500K tubes, whether you want to use T5 tubes or T8 tubes. Just get 6500K and you're good to go. Don't worry about the wattages and all that. Just buy proper wattage for the size fixture you've got, and it'll be the correct wattage. As far as if you don't have a light planted tank, if you just want your tank like this to just be lit, you can pretty much put any color temperature tube on there you like. If you like the softer, more sunset orangey glows, use a lower color temperature. Do a 2700K or a 3000K. Even a 5500K will give you a softer light. The 6500K that I've got on here gives you a pretty harsh light. It's got a lot of blue in it, and that's what makes it good for plants. I'm just so used to planted tanks and, you know, house plants around the house. Like, I just don't ever think about buying anything that's not 6500K unless I'm buying it for a specific purpose. And frankly, I like the 6500K because it puts a wide spectrum of light in the tank and allows you to see the more amount of color than you would if you had a lower color temperature in there. So that's why I go with the 6500K as well. So there you go. That's the new light. If you want to see what it looks like with the forward fixture turned on, that's with my supplemental lighting if I want to actually really light the tank up to shoot video. And you can see how all of a sudden there's a lot more color in that Mayan cichlid than you ever realized. Even this little guy right here, this little sunfish, has crazy blue tracery all over it and everything. Speaking of this little sunfish, I wanted to mention this. I know earlier I had said that I'll probably talk about a few odds and ends that are on my mind when I look at this tank. And this guy's one of them. We have another little sunfish about the same size in this tank that is... Oops, see, he knows what's good for him. Get the hell out of Dodge before he's dinner. So, let me now say there was 2 sunfish in this tank as of just a few minutes ago, and I swear I do not see the other one anywhere. I'm wondering if maybe it didn't become lunch. But the other one had a really tattered, torn and ripped tail. A lot of people were asking about it. No one quite knew what was going on. We were suspecting maybe it was the Mayan cichlid or possibly the smallmouth had been attacking it. But it looked terrible. It looked all torn up and tattered. And when I looked at it closely, I noticed there was a bite mark missing out of its tail, and it was a very small bite mark. And I figured the only fish in here that would do that would be that little sunfish we're looking at right there. So I watched him for a few minutes, and sure enough, as soon as he spotted that little tattered sunfish, he went after it like hell for leather. Just went after that fish and started pecking at it and chasing at it. And of course the other fish is already wounded and has a torn up tail, so it can't swim nearly as effectively as this one. And it got harassed pretty badly for the few minutes that I saw it. So I'm almost wondering if it didn't get banged up so badly that it's now dead or dying somewhere, or possibly being wounded. I think I just saw it stick its head out from right under there. There it is. So it's basically hiding for its life at this point. It just came out the back, so I don't know if we'll get to see it for a moment, but you'll see what I mean if it comes out and makes a little bit of an appearance. So I think I might get in there with a net and just try to get that out of there and toss it back in the pond and then be done with it. I've explained before, these sunfish, these green sunfish in particular, are hyper aggressive. They're super territorial, and even at this size, look, there he goes. He saw it and he went after it and drove it right back into hiding. Now he's looking for it. He's going to kill it when he finds it. I'm telling you, for as small as these things are, they're hyper aggressive. I mean, look at all of this tank, and all it wants to do is kill the other green sunfish that's in the tank. It wants this tank for its own. So needless to say, as those things get to be big, and they get maybe 6 to 8 inches if I'm not mistaken, they get pretty good size. I've caught them over 5 inches before, 6 inches, so I know they get at least that big, you know, the size of your hand. So it's going to be a problem. It's going to be some sort of issue down the road. I don't know what we're going to do with it, but we have come to you know, we've come to a crossroads. I've got to make a decision of how to move forward with this tank before we do anything else. I've got to decide whether I'm going to keep that bass in there. If so, how long? What kind of commitment do I want to make? And so on and so forth. So pretty soon we're going to be talking quite a lot more about this tank. I really want to kind of get my thoughts to collect it a little more and, you know, think about this a little more before I start shooting video about it. But very soon we will be shooting some more video about the future of this tank. And we'll just go from there. I'll leave it at that. So go ahead and subscribe while you're here, and that way you won't miss it when I do get around to chatting a little more about this tank and what the future of it's going to hold. As my ideas are coming together, I think you're all going to like it. I don't think this is going to be something that's going to make anybody unhappy if I can pull off what I think I want to pull off. But again, subscribe and you won't miss any of that. Don't forget, this one is my native tank. I've got plenty of other ones, but this is my native fish tank. And again, look forward to seeing where it goes in the near future. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you real soon in the next one.